there how we came on. But anyway, peace, everybody. Make sure everybody gets in. Did you post the link or this? But
Well,
anyway,
it's in the group. It's
okay.
in the M.A.D activist group. And if somebody wants to, you can go to YouTube and share it. See if I
Shit,
right
y'all. Sorry we're
YouTube.
late. All right.
How everybody doing? How's everyone? Tap in. How y'all feeling?
Peace on the refi. Thank you for tuning in. The last little one just got picked up, so
Really?
yeah, because Angelina don't count, child. Angie gonna be here, honey. She just ain't on the show tonight, y'all. She acting up. She acting up. But we hope that everybody's week or day, anyway, has been well, and hopefully your week has been even better. And if not, we're gonna make it better tonight. Okay. So you wanna do check-ins?
Yeah, I guess we can start with check-ins as we usually do. I guess I'll check in first. Well, my week has been interesting. I'm just kidding. My week has been the same as every other week for this year, which is very busy, very productive. Uh, so yeah, man, we stay busy. We stay busy. Uh, yeah, very productive, very busy. As far as my spirit goes, I've been well, doing much better, trying to get better. Definitely a healing process, an everyday process that doesn't stop, and I'm on that journey. So I've been doing a lot of uh, reading and studying as it relates to my spirituality versus just reading to learn about spirituality. I'm trying to learn about specific things as it relates to me. Uh, and the new word we learned this week, uh,
Word girl.
what was it? Eclectic?
Eclectic.
Eclectic. So definitely learning myself in an eclectic way, so pulling from different sources to build me, so that's what I've been working on. That's what I'm going to continue to work on. So yep, I'm here and I'm well.
Yes, and I love that word eclectic because it makes sense, especially with us, because we're like, rebel spirits, so it's pulling from a lot of different places without necessarily being stuck in one. So I think we all should experience that, or at least tap into that just a little bitty little heathen side. Do it for us. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
But
seriously.
yeah. But for me, it's been a good week. I've again, we've been very, very busy. It's the end of the year, technically, and we're kind of wrapping up things, end of the year assessments and stuff like that for school. So, and our security business definitely been picking up. So our weekends are like gone, but it's been productive too. We had a chance to meet some folks, Jacquees, Genuine this Saturday, was gonna so some perks there. But
I'm trying to get a deal, man. I'm trying to get a deal. I'm trying to sing.
oh my goodness, but everything has been good. Spiritual wise. I felt I had a tiny little slip up the other day, but I'm back. Thank you, Olarifa, for the positive note this rising. But
I mean, I'm,
of course, always
I'm
you.
the destructive.
No, but reading. Love reading, and that's what we've been having. We've been doing a lot of that too, as well as our students. So that's been good. Always getting new information, especially as it relates to, like we said, our particular personalities as it relates to spirituality. Going in that avenue. But all is well. Glad to be here with y'all tonight. So,
I say, I say. Uh,
oh, also,
this week, I just want to take the time to. Well, go ahead.
probably gonna say what I was just gonna say. So keep going.
Just take the time to, um, honor and show brother Malidoma some respect. He transitioned this week. Last week he transitioned, I
I
believe
believe last
Wednesday,
Tuesday.
Thursday, or something like that.
I
Thursday,
believe it was
maybe
the day we
Thursday.
was on.
So definitely want to take the time and just, take a pause to reflect on Brother Malidoma. We have been enjoying his teachings, his words, so we are spiritually connected, spiritually bonded with him. So let's just take a moment and breathe and, moment of silence to honor him in whichever way you honor or the ones who transition. All right, thank you, thank you. Bring it back, bring it back, and I'm glad to be here in this moment to, you know, be reading and studying what we are, because definitely, uh, it definitely allows us to take death differently, right? We don't take it in a Western context. So we know that once a person transitions, they're of the ancestral world, they're in the ancestral realm, and they're still here with us, right? So we're going to continue to honor this brother by, at least finishing this book. So
And then
and
some. You
practice
so funny.
and practicing the things that we're
Right.
learning, because that's what this is what this whole group is about. It's about learning things and putting it into practice. So that's where we're at.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I compliment those sentiments right there because I'm always glad when we're always embedded or reading or talking about something before it transitions. Let's just put it that way. I'm always glad that we found it before that point. I mean, when you find things after the person has transitioned is always good as well, but it's good to give people their flowers while they're here. So I can, my spirit is well with that since Brother Malidoma has transitioned, He's still giving us lessons, many, many lessons from the other side that we about to get right into. So the section that we were reading for this week was models of ritual and constraints of the modern world. So it's basically talking about how he says the machine. He talks about the machine culture. How the more we get technologically advanced, how we get further away from ritual and spirit. Especially, he says, especially over here in the Western world where everything is so, and they aim to make things look so primitive because they're so advanced that your spirituality is in limbo at that point. So this is a lot of what this chapter is about is that particularly.
Shay. And he talked about the people who me and Z been having this conversation. Sorry about the camera shaking. I'm not going to take it around. So me and Z have been having this conversation about the people who put themselves in a position to teach other people spirituality, right? And the responsibility that they have to their followers or to the people who sit at their feet to learn, right? And a lot of times what me and Z have been seeing is the capitalism aspect of spirituality, right? And I'm talking about here in Birmingham, I'm talking about at home. I'm not talking about some theory of people out there in the community. I'm talking about what we see. And people get under these particular mentors and they're not spiritually satisfied, right? At first, they're enriched, like, you're teaching me this, I'm learning this, so on and so forth. But it comes to a point to where it's like, look, I'm not being spiritually fulfilled because, again, if you miss a payment, that person's not going to feel the same about you. If and a lot of people get into spirituality to sell what they've spiritually created, right? So you'll see a lot of people who jump into spirituality just to say, oh, I'm going to sell this product and this product is going to make you feel good, or this product is going to XYZ. And he talks about, and I'm just relating this to this section because he talks about the gatekeepers and how once money is involved, right, it taints and takes away from the spirituality aspect, right? And he does talk about the balance in the the yin and the yang, so on and so forth. But yes, once money becomes involved, or once the ways of the indigenous are left, it's hard to connect with the spirit. Now he talks about how I guess he says like the downtown shaman or the shaman or are spiritualists who do work in this modern context. He does say that it still has power, but it just doesn't have the same if we were in our indigenous form, right? But I'm gonna stop right there. I feel like I'm rambling a little
No,
bit.
I'm gonna hit on that too, where he talks about how the indigenous, how they how they live. We know we are of each other, and he's saying over here in the Western world, it's kind of like we kind of just live next to each other. We're not a real community because we know nothing about each other. We're not doing any type of rituals with each other, spiritual ones anyway. So that's where he says it kind of loses its power a little bit where we are, because we really, like I said, we don't know our neighbors. Our children are not playing together like we used to back in the day and all that. So we're kind of just here. It's not necessarily a functioning community. But the person who does have that power inside of them, who are the healers and the shamans and all that, their job is still important, and it's still potency there. It may just not be as much as if we were in, like they said, indigenous or living intentionally as a community.
Because when we look at healers in their indigenous form, in their indigenous lands, that's all that they do. Right. A lot of these healers, medicine men, medicine women, they were born into that position, and they were trained lifelong to continue that tradition, right? Versus having to go work, having to go provide for your family for 8 hours a day, right? And nothing spiritual about that, right? You just go into the machine, enriching the machine, and then coming home trying to be a medicine woman doesn't have the same effect as if you were born into that, if you live that life every day, if everybody in your community poured into you that way and said, yes, you are a medicine woman to be. And then when you came to fruition, when you came of age, and people respect you, it says that's your job. It hit different. It hits different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, he talks here about money. He talks here about how in his culture, once the medicine men or medicine women and healers started to take money from white folks and take money from people outside the community, the community instantly saw that it was power taken away from what they were doing instantly, right? And they weren't able to be fully in their spiritual context because, again, something had entered into the realm that ought not be there, which, capitalism.
Right.
And
that power was, once you do that, your power already, and then not only that, you can't get it back. That was also the thing. You can't. There is no restoring that once you have intentionally, and you know what you're doing, because you know what's going to happen if you do switch spirituality off of monetary things. Your power is going to be. So it's not, like I said, it cannot be restored. It's like the outcast thing he was talking about some chapters ago.
Right.
And
no, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. It was a line in here that I wanted to read. That was this whole thing right here. I was talking to the whole book. That's how you know it's good, when you can talk to the book. But right here it was. He says, being born and raised in a sort of isolation, like we are here in America, with no elders, no spiritual context in which to grow, they grow to become all needy. So we need. And so the first person that appears to have the kind of stuff they need is follow without reserve.
Yeah.
That right there is, just like we do celebrities, we don't know nothing about them. We just know they got a lot of money, and we know we want a lot of money. So we'll just go and follow whatever ideology they follow. We'll follow whatever they say, just because we think they have the answer, because we think they have what we need to live.
We have the tendency to do that with organizations, right? The first organization that sounds like they doing some revolutionary stuff, we all in. The first board that looks like they're making peace, brother, making some advancement for the people, we're all in. But we don't, because that's how we are. We love and we trust, right? We think everybody's community has to be a trust, and we accept and think everybody's community, and that a lot of times is our downfall.
Yep.
But yes, that's a key part right there. Just like what we was talking about, man. It sounds good right now. I'm gonna hop on board. I'm gonna pay that fee. I'm gonna learn things from you that I can literally learn with a Google search.
Yeah.
And you know, but again, it works because it starts and just to get back to my story earlier, it's not all bad that people find these teachers and they start them on the journey because they do get to learn something, and they also are on a new journey, right? So once they sever ties with the teacher who wasn't feeling them spiritual, they go other places looking to be fulfilled, and hopefully they look inside, right? Because most of the stuff that we're looking for is already inside of us. As far as wanting somebody to teach us something, wanting somebody to train us, wanting somebody to, spiritually give us confidence, right? Because that's what it looks like to me, you
Yeah.
know. All right. So yeah, the first part he just talks about the introduction of money into the system of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Then he talks about the next part is money and spirit. And he talks about, can money and spirit be cohesive with each other? And he talks about how yes, because everything, everything has
Opposite.
a opposite, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everything has a balance. So he does talk about how money or gifts can be uh, intertwined with spirituality. And then one of the examples he gave in a positive way,
Mm-hmm.
he says that when a healer or a spiritualist does their work, uh, they're not doing it. They're not saying, "Oh, give me $100 and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this ceremony. I'm gonna do this ritual and I'm gonna cleanse you." No, you come to them and they say, "Bro, you need some cleansing. I'm gonna cleanse you." And when you leave and you see the benefits of that cleansing, you come back, right? You come back and then you show your appreciation. You show your gratitude. So that's when you come back with gifts or monetary things. After the work has been done, after you feel the work has been done, you come back and you tell somebody else. And when you tell somebody else, that other person like, man, I need some protection on me right now. And they
Mm-hmm.
go to that person and that person gives them, a protection ceremony. And when they get out there, they feel it, they feel great, and they come back and they give. So that's the example that he gave with money and gifts and paying for spirituality. It's the
Mm-hmm.
gratitude of coming back to give. You know?
Right. And that more than likely doesn't mean monetary, monetary, really, in this case.
Yeah.
More of a, like you said, a symbol or something
Yeah.
representing, because it is gonna, like you said, trickle down to the next person and the next person and the next person.
Because there's an expectation. We talked about this in the weeks previous. There's an expectation that our healers and our people, our professionals, you scared me, dog. The dog scared me, y'all. But yeah, there's an expectation that our healers are already being supported by the community,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's an expectation that their healing, that their survival doesn't depend on them healing people, or their survival doesn't depend on them, giving people spiritual advice, right? Because we already respect them enough and we trust them enough in the community to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they straight. They may go a time without physically healing somebody or physically touching or putting
Right.
hands or prescribing something for somebody, right? And it may look like their work is not being done. Do us as a community stop supporting them? No. Or do we say, nah, you only should be supported when people come to you? No.
Right.
Right? Because that person should still be in what me and Z talked about, should still be in their practice. Right. So when that person does come, they already ready. They don't have to prepare. They don't have to say, let me go get my herbs. Let me order these herbs off Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
They already ready. Like, baby, this is what you need. I already knew
I
you
was
was
already
coming.
right. Exactly. I knew you
Right?
would
I knew you
come.
was coming. So my
Mm-hmm.
herbs is already ready. Here go your whoop wops, so on
Right.
and so forth. So there's an expectancy that we're already supporting our important people of the community, such as
Mm-hmm.
healers, elders,
All of that.
all of our
Our
people. It's our
revolutionaries. So many
revolutionaries.
of our revolutionaries have died, forgotten about, and broke, sick. Really, and they've done so much for us. So we know better now. Like we have to support them while they're here and make sure they're okay spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Healers need healing too. And most healers are still wounded. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we're still trying to figure this thing out too. But yes, we definitely have to give people in our community their self-worth like they'll give us ours.
Yeah.
Just like Olarifa said, spiritual validation. That is so important.
Another another aspect or another strong theme that resonates through Melidoma's writings is just the sense of how the machine steals from us.
Mhm.
You know how the machine demands so much from us and gives nothing back, at least spiritually. You know, and he talks about how the machine and spirituality are opposites
Right.
or what does it say? The word dialectically opposed to each other. They're
Mhm.
opposed. They're opposites, and these two things can't thrive together.
Right, right.
Right. Once we become westernized, right, and most of us are born
It's
into this system,
yeah.
we we fill ourselves with the need of the
Mm,
machine versus the need of spirituality.
right,
So what moves us is money. What moves us is like, oh, I got to go to work. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I
right.
got to survive. Right.
It's
Versus
feeding them.
what's moving us is our spirituality, saying, you know what, I got to go
I
make
gotta
sure the
thrive and
children
survive.
are good. I
Right.
got to go make sure I'm good. That's why I'm so busy talking about healing, because it's hard to heal when you inside the
Right.
machine. You have no time for self. You got to go do shit.
Or you have no time for the practice of healing. You probably got time to talk about it,
Yeah.
but you don't have time to actually
Take a week off
do
and
your
go dip yourself in
do
some
your
waters.
right,
You
right.
know, how can you take a week off and what if you needed a month off
Hey, no,
to go
no.
heal yourself? And
Right,
the machine doesn't allow you to do so. You
right.
take a month off, you behind on bills, rent due, mortgage due.
You still
You
think about the
know,
machine while you on vacation.
yeah, exactly. So how do we, again, us in this machine, right? The ones, especially us who were born over here in this machine, we have to figure out ways to how can I say this? We have to figure out ways to tap into our spirituality, at the same time still surviving within the machine,
Because we are, yeah, we
right?
do
Because
have
we
earthly
are
duties, as they
of this
say.
machine. And one thing that Malidoma prescribes is community
Community rituals.
rituals.
Right.
You know,
Was that here?
go
And then
ahead.
well,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Let me know.
because he has some good stuff here, but I wanted to hit on this as far as we're talking about the machine anyway.
Mhm.
Um, he says it is more realistic to think about the spiritual needs of family and self as a starting point for social transformation than to begin thinking about we can change Hollywood. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. So this is something that me and Bomani talk about a lot. Is that the revolution? And Tori too, our bro Tori Russell. The revolution has to start at home. Number one, like you said, we can't think about changing Hollywood and trying to change the way things are going and our local government, all stuff like that. We can't if we're not practicing that in house. That's the first thing. And then he says, I like the way he says, it's the magnet of materialism, because that's what it is. It's a magnet. The magnet of materialism is keeping people too busy to hear about spiritual change.
Mhm.
In addition, the power of the machine causes people not to hear what we have to say.
Mhm.
The machine is influencing a greater part of our lives than we think. They make self each person's own best spiritual project is to avoid the crush of the gigantic modern machine. Ritual enables us to live a life that is much closer to what our souls aspire to. So again, they say the machine is working so fast that people don't even want to hear about no spiritual. No, I ain't got time for that shit. I don't have time for that. I gotta go make money. I gotta get the bag. Like they said, they don't even have ears to listen to us no more. The machine that took their ears.
Yeah.
And we don't even have that anymore. So, and like you said, when you talk about progress means that your spiritual is dying pretty much, because it's trying, like he said, the way tribes have been living, even his tribe, they still live the same way. They live in an open compound. Their doors are not locked. Everybody comes together for dinner, hunting, all of this stuff. But the Western world makes that look, like he said, primitive. It's like, why are y'all still carrying baskets and why are you still going to the water, to actually get water, bring it back? But all of that stuff is keeping everybody healthy, keeping everybody alive, keeping everybody communal, keeping everybody spiritual, because they have time. That's why they come over here and can't understand why we moving so fast. It's like, where are y'all going so quickly? Or why do you have to constantly looking at your watch or looking at the time? I have to be there at this time. I have to be there at this time. They have a different concept of time because they do have their own set of rules. That's what a community is. We make our own rules. We don't need a machine to tell us when to eat, when to sleep, that we need to do this, that we need to produce things for them, and our households are empty.
Right.
So I really like what he said there. Like the machine has our ear, it has our children. it definitely got us. So it definitely is going to have our children. The technology that we have now, and we're just going to get more and more advanced. So how do we?
Yeah.
How do we, combat that?
Yeah. In the next section, he actually talks about a little bit more about, I'm probably gonna go hard on that part, but he talks about the machine. He talks about Christianity is the machine, right? And like Z just said, the children are of the machine because the schools are the machine. Schools teach you how to be just another nut, a nut and bolt in the machine, right? All of our systems, how we shop, how we do everything is just teaching us to be of this machine who essentially just pulls from us, right? And like you said, like Z was saying, the pull of materialism, but this was taught to us. It reminded me of the previous book that we read, post-traumatic slave syndrome disorder syndrome, and it talked about how after we got our freedom, uh, it talked about the what the masters allowed us to have, right? So they let us have spirituality on Sundays, but the rest of the 6 days a week we are of the machine, and even on Sunday, because he talks about in the next session with colonization how Christianity became the machine or representation of no, became the machine, because outside of your indigenous practices, Christianity is about going, you got to pay your tithes, you got to do this, you got to do that, and they so on and so forth, you know uh,
and if you don't, you want to hell.
yeah, so on and so forth. So again, it's how do we teach our children spirituality in this system, without, and again, the solution, I'm just going to talk about a solution real quick, is just separating ourselves from these folks, building our own systems of politics, right? Building our own communities. We have to do a little bit of uh some secrecy where we get some land, I think of CB, in the 90s when he had his healing, what is it, in Honduras?
Yes,
in Honduras,
yes,
and he had it, the village. It's more popular now, but in the 90s it wasn't as popular. It was off the grid. It was somewhere where people had to go, and there was a lot of secrecy involved in it, right? It wasn't, we didn't know about the alkaline diet and so on and so forth like we know about now. So we need more of that. We need more of that here, where we can go and we can get some healing. We can go to a space to where we can get fulfilled and poured into and get this love in secrecy, without it being some type of spa and come out and enjoy this and money involved, so on and so forth. Because I do see a lot of stuff that would spiritually benefit me, like, ooh, that would spiritually benefit my soul. But I look at the price on it's $1,000.
Right.
Damn, I would love to go get some heat rocks set on my chakras on my back to do this and so on and so forth. But the price tag associated with it. And I would love to enjoy that over a long period of time. And guess what? I can't take a week off to go swimming in Lake Minnetonka and purify ourselves. I can't take a week off to do that, because guess what? I got children. I got this home. I got people who depend on me in the machine, right? So I didn't want to rant too long about that, but it's hard to get to ourselves. A lot of the healers say, man, you got to do some self-love and some, it's like, how can I do any self-love? I ain't got no time for no self-love.
Well, we ain't got nobody to watch nobody. You feel it's a lot. It's a lot. And you know what? I know our individual spirituality is our own. That's our responsibility, or should I say, but if we helped each other out as a village, we definitely can get more individual spirituality practices done. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. A single mom can't do it when we don't want to watch none of her kids. It's impossible for her to do that, or to get some time alone when we won't even take her child for 2-3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just impossible. So we do, as a community, have to take the responsibility of coming together and making more opportunities for us to come together and have these community rituals. So we will feel like a for real family, because we are investing in each other. We going, hey, just like Goodfellas, y'all. I know y'all done seen that movie. Like they said, no outsiders. Whenever we went on vacation, we went together. Whenever the kids went to school, they went together. Whenever we did it together. And that's how you become really, really bonded with each other. But I just wanted to say we have to take our responsibility as a village too, to help each other do our solo spiritual practices as well.
I say. So the next part, I think this is the last part of this chapter, but it's important. He talks about power and corruption, right? We talked about And again, we already know here in the Western culture, when we say power, the things that we think of, and we know
Ghost.
with with no, seriously, and with power uh comes corruption, especially in a Western sense, you know. And what the difference is between like power within spirituality and the difference within this illusion of power that we are always trying to obtain in Western societies.
Right.
And he just talks about the power in spirituality. He talks about his elder who has lived X amount of time, and by living by rituals, ceremonies, by living in the indigenous way, he has developed powers. Like physical powers that are beyond our Western comprehension. And it talks about how there's a safeguard of this power. There's a safeguard of the phenomenons that are created with this power, right? They're not just going around showing off like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, because again, that diminishes away from the spirituality. Versus power in the Western sense, power is almost equated with showing off, right? You almost don't have any power in the Western world without putting your chest out and walking down, and showing people that I'm a powerful man, I am a powerful woman, right? And so he talks about the dynamics between that. And then the he gets back into the machine, and this is where he talks about how the machine was introduced to his tribe. And this story is the same story that was duplicated all across the continent of Africa, with many tribes, many villages, so on and so forth. Was just the implement of Western society. And one of the first things that they implement, or one of the first people who come, are the missionaries. Right. And again, they come preaching that you going to hell. So they first, like he said, I mean, let me get it right. So it says, come on, he talks about how it was a process of becoming modern, right? And then it says it was a team of Christians who came into my village over 12 years ago to ask those who went to church on Sunday to grow cotton so they could buy it from them. The native villagers saw that as an immense opportunity to become modern. That is, to acquire bicycles, shortwave radios, clothes. What they did not see was that these white Christians had their own separate agenda because they were in control. They laid out what they wanted the villagers to do. It included using fertilizers and pesticides that were banned in France. No one had the money. No one had money, but everyone bought on credit. They were barely able to pay their debts out of the sales. With bitterness, the villagers returned to their traditional farming, but the land was angry, tortured by foreign chemicals, and went into a coma. Right? Now, the system that they bought into his village was, what was it called? The system, like the sharecropping type of system, right?
Yeah,
that always
servant type.
Indentured servant that always kept you in debt.
Sharecropping.
Right? And like brother said, man, the allure of materialism made you go against your indigenous practices. Right. So again, these pesticides that were introduced killed the land for a long. We know what pesticides do to the land. We understand that it makes the land barren, and you have to, excuse me, you got to repurpose the land and get it back right. So, and one part he says here is that, once they implement that, we have something that you want, we kind of control you. You want a bicycle, right? In this case, it was bicycles, fresh clothes, fresh clothes and little radios and stuff like that, right? And again, there could be a wonderful balance of these things, but once they hang something over your head, they got you. And us here, we talk about, it's decolonized December with the IBFA, but we talk about colonization and the things that they dangle over our heads, right? They dangle this sense of like, you can be like us, right? Or the close proximity to white supremacy gives us power. So they dangle that over our head and make our people, join the Democratic Party, or make our people take this, instead of taking a revolutionary route, they take this bougie sort of route because they think that this is what's going to get them power. Not get them free, but get them some power. Right? And again, they dangle that over your head. They dangle positions over your head. They dangle money over your head. They dangle our freedom over our head. You want some time off, don't you? You want to spend some time with your family, don't you? Go and get this right. So on and so forth.
And also, like you said, they also went into debt trying to chase the materialism because they didn't even have the money to pay for all the stuff they needed to plan all this stuff. So they went into debt and they messed up their land at the same time where they couldn't even get it back, quickly. Like I said, the land went into a coma. Like, I don't know what's happening, these pesticides and all this. I've never seen them, felt them, and I'm out of it. So that's what happens.
And colonization aims to take everything away from you and implement dominant society into you, right? So this next part, technology was sent into Africa as an instrument of terror. Colonization could not have happened without it, followed by much destruction. I do not know why it feels to me that the Christianization of the third world is fueled by guilt, but somehow the often violent zeal with which indigenous people were pulled away from their traditions. The lingering fear of sinning, going to hell, failing to pay dues were all projections of a filthy shadow. Man, again, this little paragraph is the number that Western society is put on all indigenous cultures wherever they went, right? They use Christianity, violence, and like you said, guilt to get people to do their bidding, right? And it's almost never an instance of missionaries not coming into the land making some money. You know what I'm saying? Like they said, we want y'all to grow cotton. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to sell it back to us. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we ain't going to tell y'all we're going to use these negative pesticides that's going to kill you and the land, right? The Native Americans here in America, when they came, they slaughtered, and for the people who they didn't slaughter and they felt they can change, they shipped them off to Christian schools. They got the children and sent them off to boarding schools. One of the first things they did was cut their hair. One of the other first things they did was make sure that they couldn't speak their native language, right? So they taught them the language of the Bible. So again, it's you can't separate colonization and Christianity, right? You can't separate the machine from Christianity and colonization, right? You just can't. It's all connected.
Peace, story.
Peace, brother. And the more that we become of the machine, the more our community is going to suffer. Right. The more that our folks say, man, I just got to go, like Z said, I just got to get the bag. I just got to get the bag. The more you can't even focus on self. You don't even, like I say, we don't even take the time to know our children because we chasing a bag. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather chase my children's personalities and know what y'all got going on so I can help y'all be better humans in the future. You know what I'm saying? Versus let me go chase the bag and make sure y'all look good.
Right.
Nah, let me make sure you are good.
Yeah, right. Like lifelong feel good. You know what I'm saying? And then even with the here too with the colonizers, as he said, with the Christianity, so that was one thing. Then he said the technology came. That's the second thing. Third thing, they come back, the colonizers come back for the people who are afraid of this technology, they convert them to Catholicism. So now we got three different things in the mix here. We got the Christianity, the technology that just came in, and then for the people who are afraid of these new technologies coming in, we're going to convert you to Catholicism. So we got you in all three places now, like right where we want you. And it's been a plan, like like Bomani was saying. Every indigenous culture that they've done this to has been done the same way. It's been done the exact same way. And how do we, like I said, they have more resources than we do. We know that part. So again, how do we combat that when we kind of know that technology is just going to keep getting more and more advanced. But what does that mean for our children? And what does that mean for their spiritual well being?
Now we become, as we progress, in this time, toward the future, we become more and more less likely to tap into spiritual things, right? Uh, Fortunately, like I say, I do see a wave of spirituality coming about, with technology, right? We're able to access information a little bit easier, but are we able to practice it, right? So I guess our
Yeah, I just thought about something you just said. 'Cause the technology thing is good, Google searches and all
Mhm.
that to find our stuff. But then it's like it is available to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not just us. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what he's
Yeah,
saying with it.
it loses power.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I say, as bastards in this world, as
I got
children,
a daddy.
as
I'm just kidding.
children,
Let me stop. I'm just playing.
as children away from home, we have to tap into what we tap
Yeah.
into. So if that's just taking the time, 15 minutes in the morning to tap into your spirituality, to tap into self, we need to do so. If that's taking the time, a few minutes out the day to ground yourself with your family, let's do so. If that's taking monthly community ceremonies, let's do that. We got some ceremonies coming up. Let's do some protection
Yes.
ceremonies. Let's do some things that make us feel good. Let's go to the water. Let's give some attention to our ancestors.
Sit in front of some fire,
you
all
know
that. Yes.
so again, once we start to implement these things, we become community. That list that Z read off last week about the things that make community, trust, the unity of spirit, trust, openness, love and caring, respect for the elders, respect for nature, and the cult of ancestors. Like the only way that we can become community, and it makes sense, is to tap into these things, and that's to be together. That's to do things together. That's to create a sense of love and family with our folks, and to start to do ceremonies, to start to say, what, this is what we do. Each year we come together and we got this little fitness thing we do. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Tori thinks this is an African spirituality study group, but we'll take that. But it doesn't have to necessarily be rooted in some type of spiritual system. Right. It's like, nah, we finna come together. We finna do this swim. We love water. We're people of the water, so we always swim out to this island once a year. You know what I'm saying? We always dip, like I say, go to Lake Minnetonka and we just swim around. And again, that comes from no spiritual base. That comes from,
that comes from Prince itself.
Yeah, it comes from Prince. It comes from somebody that we revere, so on and so forth. But anyway, we can create these things, and it creates a sense of community.
And we can create new systems as well. I mean, I just think about Santeria, like they're like, all right, y'all, we had enough of y'all trying to beat us over the head with the saints, so we're gonna pretend like we gonna do this thing, but we still gonna use our Orishas and Loas and all that, and just do it right in y'all face, and y'all gonna think we're doing something else. So our kids may have to go underground again. We don't know. They may have to do their own thing.
And that's funny because it showed a level of secrecy. It's like we have to keep, again, like Z said, it's like, we're gonna practice out in the open, but it's still a level of secrecy that we are not exposed to the world, or the world wasn't ready to be exposed to that at the time. And it worked. It worked. It liberated. It enriched. It allowed the people who practiced that to tap back into their ancestors. That's the most important part. Is the spirit that they did it in, right? Like he talked about. It's like I have a positive spirit. I'm doing it in the right spirit. It might not be Fon. It might not be Yoruba. It might not be something that came directly from the continent, but I'm doing it with the right spirit, with the right intentions, and specifically with Santiago and Candomblé, we got whole systems, and again, once you compare those systems, a lot of these folks, a lot of these stories, a lot of the knowledge that comes out of these spiritual systems are the same, and they can be tracked back to the same story, right? So on and so forth. So we know that it's connected. So again, we want to intentionally start to do this within our community to build community.
Right. This is a good paragraph right here where he says, He says, from this I draw that Western technology is being put into the hands of people who have lost touch with the spiritual. Western machine technology is the spirit of death made to look like life. Mm. Read that again. Western machine technology is the spirit of death made to look like life. It makes life seem easier, comfortable, cozy, but the price we pay includes the dehumanization of the self, of
Right.
thyself. Yes, so just
Hold
that.
on. I want you to finish. I want you to finish that paragraph. I want you to read
Okay.
it. I want you to read this paragraph with some because
Ah,
it's
okay, I
real.
know. That's how I was today. Man, I'm telling you. Okay. All right. From this, I draw that Western technology is being put into the hands of people who have lost touch with the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Western machine technology is the spirit of death made to look like life. It makes life seem easier, comfortable, cozy, but the price we pay includes the dehumanization of the self. To sleep in a cozy home, a good bed, and eat great, chemically produced food, you must rhyme your life with speed, rapid motion, and time. The clock tells you everything and keeps you busy enough to forget that there could be another way of living your life. It has made the natural way of living look primitive, full of famine, disease, ignorance, and poverty, so that we can appreciate our enslavement to the machine and further make those who are not enslaved by it feel sorry for themselves.
And I challenge all of the people who run across this. This is if you got the book, it's on page
Right,
65 in
65,
the middle
second
paragraph.
paragraph.
Man, he said we could have did a whole hour just off this paragraph
Mm-hmm.
right here, right? He says that by us living under the machine, by us serving the machine, by us the way we live, it only stands to enhance the machine, and the machine gives us this false sense of life, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna give you an example. Like I say, Z said, chasing the bag to what detriment to yourself, to your body, to your mental health, right? So I got to go low again, man. When I got out of prison, the only job available to me was loading trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and that shit beat my body up, man. I used
Mm-hmm.
to come home from work, nigga, limping and barely could move, but that was the only thing that I can do. You know what I'm saying? Then I had to get right back up in the morning, do it again, do it again, do it again. If I miss the bus, oh my God, I think I'm gonna get fired, so on and so forth. It beat my soul, my spirit up. And then I come home with this little baby check that I can't even barely do nothing with. I can't survive off of. I'm getting beat up by the machine. There was no space out there where I could breathe. Right. Specifically when I got out of prison, I didn't have a community where I could go to where I could just say, all right, let me get my thoughts together. Let me acclimate back into society. No, it was like go, 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 go. And it was hard. You know what I'm saying? And I survived, but many people don't survive that, right? We live, like Z said, man, like she just read, we're enslaved to this machine
Right.
to where we would shame people who are happy but broke.
Right. Right. Just like we
Right?
do our folks in Africa, like y'all, like they ain't worried about what we think they're worried about.
Nah,
No, they don't even.
man.
They living happy as I don't know what. Their spirit is filled. Meanwhile, we over here with everything, and we are so, and we have nothing inside of us, nothing. So I don't know. It's just oof.
When the sisters from Sister House, when the sisters from Spirit House asks, what does safety look like to
Mm-hmm.
you? What does a safe community look like to you? And again, I pictured the things that I pictured when they bring these prompts up is just a simple life, you know what I'm saying? Little small compound with
Compound,
my family,
right?
and we able to eat off the land, and we really ain't got to worry about nobody, and we can go to the community center. But the machine was not there, bro. I didn't think about, ooh, a safe community looks like me going to work every single day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It looks like me enriching the system. It looks like me having a lot of money. Nah, bro, it was me in a little house chilling, my little compound, with my garden, with my family, with some access to some water.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's and this is before all of this. That's me. That's the innate indigenous person in me.
Right.
That's me
Right.
saying I want to go back to the land. I want to go back to the
Being
indigenous
nomadic,
ways. Right.
all of that stuff to nature, basically, like we
Going
were
back to
saying.
nature.
And I just wanted to add, a lot of us have our theories about where we come from or don't come from or all of that stuff. And I just find that people who say they don't come from enslaved, Africans, I find that those same people are slaves to money. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you think about. You know what I'm saying? And it's no difference. You just ain't being whipped physically, but you are. You know what I'm saying? It's not with a whip, but like I said, if you don't have that, you are going to be depressed. We've seen it. We know, y'all. If people don't have it, it's a whole situation. You'll do anything to get it. It's become a desperation thing, and once you get desperate, you'll do anything, and it's all behind a federal note.
Right. Right. And it's us again. We are in the richest nation of all time, and we have children going hungry.
Specifically
We
here in
have
Alabama.
we have
Right.
adults going hungry. We have people who
Right.
ain't sleeping in no home tonight. We have people in no shelter. So again, this system that we love so much is a broken system, but we can't see it because again we're so what you say the magnetism of
Yeah, the
materialism keeps us
materialism.
blind to what's
Right.
going on.
And also, the machine is working quite well, actually.
Yeah.
It's broken for us because this ain't our type of get
Yeah.
down at all as spiritual people. It's just not. But they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, but we got to do our job now.
Yeah, the spiritless people thrive in the
Yeah.
machine because they spiritless.
Right.
That's what I'm calling them, spiritless people. Nah, but we enjoyed this talk, this session tonight. Make sure y'all go to the YouTube page, M.A.D Liberation Education, and make sure y'all like and subscribe. So we can get more people viewing this stuff.
Like, share, subscribe.
And that's where you can share this video and the videos we do from.
Next week we'll be purifying ourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Woo.
Okay. I'm sure we can do a background or something where we could be in Minnesota. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna figure that thing out. But peace, Sister Lily.
And this next week is we're gonna read the structure of ritual and a ritual sampler, the funeral and the language of grief. So we nearing the end of the book. This is about over the halfway point. So we're nearing the end. So we're gonna knock these next two sections out, and then it's 1 week after that we're pretty much finished with this book. Our next book is you want to go grab the next book? You want to read that one? By his wife.
Yes. Oh, the Spirit of Intimacy.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I had. Hold on, y'all.
She's gonna go grab the other book. So our next book that we've been thinking about doing, which is Malidoma's ex-wife. She wrote a book, The Spirit of Intimacy. So I think we're gonna tap into that one next. Especially as me and Z as a couple. A lot of people want us to do some more lives and stuff, talking about stuff outside of the revolution. It's almost impossible for us, but we'll try.
I don't know. We can see. Oh no, let me pull it back. There we go. There we go. All right, The Spirit of Intimacy.
So that's gonna be our next read, y'all. It's about the same size as this book, and
yes, be fairly easy read,
it's
y'all.
not much. At least we may not read the whole book. We'll just go through the way it's set up. We'll be able to just go through some sections at least, but I plan on reading the whole thing.
Yes.
And it says the ancient African teachings in the ways of relationships. So we're gonna tap into that. A lot of people have been asking me and Z to do some more talking surrounding relationships and Black love, melanated love, and so on and so forth. So we will oblige.
Yes. Soon. Coming soon.
Thank you all. Thank you all. We'll tap back in with you for the same session on Tuesday. Yes, and make sure y'all tap in with us for the IBFA Thursdays for our revolutionary education. Okay. And we'll see y'all on other platforms.
Love y'all. Peace, power. Peace. Let's get free. Spiritually.
I say, come
Thank
on,
you.
man.
All right, that's all I got, y'all.
I'm gonna tag y'all queen.
No. Peace.